It was a very hot summer day in Bishop Lavis, a suburb situated 23 minutes away from the Cape Town CBD. October 18, 2018. 56-year-old Gregory Carolsey, a police reservist in the Cape Town anti-gang unit, gets a startling phone call. He is alerted about a gang-related incident which had just occurred in the township of Valhalla Park. At approximately 15:20 p.m., Mr. Carolsey hurriedly put on his uniform and went out his home. He was armed with a .38 special revolver, which was tucked in his waist. 27-year-old Dale Carolsey, his son, was sitting outside at that time. Carolsey told his son that he was heading out to solve a problem he had, and that he will be back before sunset. He walked up Barracuda Crescent, into the direction of Valhalla Park, a township which was right next to Bishop Lavis. Later that afternoon, at around 5:30 p.m., Dale Carolsey's sister left the home for work. Dale was standing in the doorway of the house as his sister passed by, heading to the bus stop. 2 minutes after she had passed, a series of gunshots are heard coming from outside. Dale Carolsey, scared for the safety of his sister, went out looking for her. He quickly jumped over the house's wall, faced Barracuda Crescent, and ran upwards on the left-hand side of the road. The bus stop that his sister was heading to was diagonally across the road. As he advanced up the street, he called on his sister to return to the house, and he continued running as the shots were being fired. About 25 meters away from where Dale was, two hitmen, who were carrying semi-automatic weapons, appeared. The hitmen were not wearing anything to cover their faces. They approached and started shooting from the left-hand side of the road, the same side where Dale was. There were other people in the street, running into nearby homes, some into Valhalla Park, and others in nearby shops. As commotion ensued, two lifeless bodies lay on the sides of the road across from each other. The hitmen slowly moved towards one of the individuals who was on the ground and started shooting at him. After the shooting had stopped, the hitmen began searching the pockets of the deceased individuals. Soon after that, the hitmen fled on foot, running towards Valhalla Park. Dale Carolsey walked towards the first body, which was lying on the pavement. To his surprise, it was his father, Gregory Carolsey. Gregory had 16 gunshot wounds, 10 in his body, and 6 in his face and head. He was lying on his back, his right hand on his stomach, his left hand on the ground, with his head to the right-hand side. He didn't have a pulse. Gregory's firearm, which was a .38 special revolver he was carrying earlier, was missing. However, his cell phone was still in his pocket. On the ground, on the opposite side of the road, was 25-year-old Prezano Holland. He was fatally shot in his abdomen. Prezano Holland was a friend of Dale Carolsey. They had attended the same high school together, and he stayed in the area. Prezano was also a member of a drug-dealing gang in the area, called The Firm. Both Gregory and Prezano succumbed to their wounds at the scene. Prezano died as a result of one bullet wound in his head, caused by a 9mm caliber pistol. The Bishop Lavis police officers arrived about 20 minutes after the shooting. They cordoned off the area with yellow tape, and they covered the two dead bodies. Police found cartridges in the street, and also bullet marks in various locations, including a nearby house's window. People at the scene refused to give statements as to what they saw during the shooting. Dale Carolsey, the only eyewitness, did not speak to anyone at the scene. He was scared and feared for his life. So he left shortly after the police had arrived, before it became dark. It was only 19 days after the incident, having been persuaded to do so by his uncle, that Dale Carolsey agreed to contact the police. He agreed to make a statement, but only to Colonel Charles Kinnear. He was scared to come forward, and only did so once he had been given assurance by his uncle that he could trust Kinnear. Colonel Charles Kinnear had been in the police service for 31 years and was part of the Cape Town anti-gang unit. He was amongst the first officers to arrive at the scene of the shooting because he lived very close by and, like Gregory Carlsey, had lived in the area his entire life. Sadly, this was one of the last cases that Kinnear was investigating because 2 years later, in September 2020, Kinnear was murdered in a hail of bullets outside his home in Bishop Lavis. A few weeks after the murder of Gregory Carlsey, 2 individuals would be arrested and charged for the heinous crime. This was thanks to Dale Carlsey, his son, being the only eyewitness for the state. The 2 suspects named Ashwin Willems and Waylon Abdullah were identified as members of the 28th Numbers gang. Their reason for the murder of Gregory Carlsey is still not known. They were, however, each given 30 years in prison with no possibility of parole. The assassination of Gregory Carlsey came as a shock to the community of Bishop Lavis. At the time of his death, he was employed as a security officer in the Community Safety Department of the city of Cape Town. He also worked as a police reservist in Bishop Lavis for over 20 years. Mr. Carlsey was also well known in the community for his service to advance the safety of community members and worked with police in gang-related matters. His death was not only tragic for his loved ones, but also for the Bishop Lavis police station. This is because Gregory was the last witness alive in a triple murder case that involved top members of the 28th Numbers gang. A year prior to his death, on the 17th of June 2017, Gregory witnessed a drive-by shooting right outside his home. He was standing in his front yard at the time, in Nuuchittic, Bishop Lavis, when a gold-colored VW Polo opened fire on a group of males who were standing by a corner shop. 3 gang members were killed that day in what was said to be a gang-related incident. With the help of another individual who was driving another vehicle, Gregory went after the gold VW, which the hitman were traveling in. During the pursuit, he managed to arrest one of the 3 suspects, Abraham Wilson, an alleged member of the 28th gang. Another suspect would later be arrested by the police. The name of this suspect was Craig Stanfield. Craig Stanfield was also a 28th gang member. According to the state, this was the reason that Gregory Carlsey was murdered in October 2018. 3 suspects would end up being charged in the triple murder, which occurred in front of Gregory Carlsey's residence. Abraham Wilson, Craig Stanfield, and also another gang member. Gregory was supposed to be an eyewitness in that case, along with another male individual, and the trial was set to take place at the Western Cape High Court. However, both Carlsey and the male individual were killed execution style in 2018, the year of the trial. The 2 eyewitnesses were killed within 7 months apart, with the male individual being murdered first in March 2018. Then they shot and killed Carlsey in October 2018.
The 28th gang, which Ralph Stanfield is alleged to be the leader of, is probably by far the strongest and most feared organized crime gang in South Africa. And it is a prison gang, but it also has a very strong presence outside of prison through its various street gangs that are affiliated to it. And this gang has spread around the country to KZN. A lot of the recent sort of hits that have been happening in KZN were, I'm not talking about political murders, of course, but underworld hits had to do with takeovers by the 28s over there, in Gauteng as well, and in Cape Town. For years now, we have seen a result of conflict between members of the 28s, their leadership, and other groups, also people within the 28s affiliated street gangs sort of vying for control.
Craig Stanfield was not just any regular gangster. He is part of one of the most feared crime families in the country, the Stanfield family. The Stanfield family contains some of the most dangerous individuals in the city of Cape Town. At the head of the family is Ralph Stanfield, a notorious businessman from Valhalla Park. According to the state, Ralph is also the leader of the 28th Numbers gang. Most importantly, however, Ralph is alleged to be the kingpin of a criminal organization known as The Firm, which has been terrorizing the community of Valhalla Park for the past 20 years. extortions, robberies, drive-by shootings, and large-scale drug dealing. These are just a few of the things that the firm is involved in. Ralph Stanfield is said to be the nephew of Colin Stanfield, the man who allegedly started the firm. Colin Stanfield was a notorious drug lord from Valhalla Park. Before his death in 2004, he used to sell large amounts of mandrax within the streets of Cape Town in the early 80s and 90s. He is credited as one of the few men who single-handedly started the multi-million-dollar Western Cape illegal drug market. In a report which was published by the Institute of Security Studies in June 2000, Western Cape gang experts described Stanfield as one of the biggest drug dealers to emerge out of South Africa. Before Colin Stanfield's death in 2004, he had founded a new criminal organization that was closely affiliated with the 28's Numbers gang. This organization was called the Firm. According to the police, the Firm is a drug-dealing syndicate, compromising many leaders of the 28's aligned gangs. It's said to be one of the most powerful criminal organizations in the Western Cape. It's suspected that the Firm came about in order to compete with the Americans gang, another drug-dealing street gang from the Cape Flats. After the death of Colin Stanfield in 2004, his nephew, Ralph Stanfield, became the new top boss at his uncle's criminal organization. At that time, Ralph Stanfield was the head of a company called Glomix, which was founded by his uncle in 2001. Now, Stanfield is regarded as South Africa's most powerful underworld figure. On the 29th of September 2023, just 4 months ago, Stanfield, along with his wife, were arrested in their R7 million home in the upmarket Cape Town suburb of Constantia. The couple appeared in the Cape Town Magistrates Court on the 2nd of October, along with 2 other accused. Together, the group faced charges of motor vehicle theft, assault, robbery, and fraud. Stanfield also faced an illegal firearm possession charge. The police minister and also the National Police Commissioner were present in the courtroom that day, along with 8 officers who were acting as security. There were also several more police officers who were stationed outside the court building.